Hello and welcome to this course of videos on MongoDB and NoSQL databases. Now in this introductory video we'll be answering the question, what is NoSQL? The NoSQL stands for not only SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Now although SQL is a language for querying databases, in this context we're really talking about SQL being SQL databases. Now, SQL databases are the traditional way of storing data. SQL databases are also known as relational databases. Now, relational databases store data really very similar to a simple spreadsheet, in the fact that you create your columns or fields. You'll hear it referred to as schema. I create my columns, and then I populate my data in my columns, in my fields, within my schema. Now you can see here I've got my customers table here, and I have 4 customers, each with an ID and each with a name. Now, so this is the way that I'm using spreadsheet here, but this is really the way that relational SQL databases store data. But in our not only SQL databases, our NoSQL databases, we have a different paradigm. So NoSQL databases are referred to as schemaless. So the schema that we talked about here, NoSQL databases don't have a concept of schema. That's not strictly true, as you'll see later, but that's the party line. So there's multiple types of NoSQL database. However, the two that we're really going to be looking at here are key value stores and document stores. Key value stores, first of all, are the most simple type of NoSQL database. As per the name, key value store, they are made up of keys and values. So you can see here, I've taken the first 2 records from my spreadsheet or relational database table here, and I've tried to replicate them in our key value store. And it seems to be quite successful. I've taken ID of 1 is James, ID of 2 is John, and I could do this all the way down with as many key value pairs as I wish. But we are limited to a key and a value. So, I mean, if this table was extending out to multiple different fields, I'm not going to be able to represent that in a key value store, so I am quite constrained. The other thing you'll notice about this key value store is that although I have replicated this data, number 1 is James, number 2 is John, with this key value store, there is nothing to say that this key is ID and this value is name. There is no metadata there to let us know the contents of these key value stores. So that's really a restriction of the key value style of NoSQL database. There are many pluses in the sense that they are extremely quick and simple. So that's key value stores. That's the first very simple type of NoSQL database. One other thing I'm going to mention here, you see around each key value pair I have these brackets here. Now, these brackets are often used in object-oriented programming to represent objects. So the start of an object and the end of an object. And NoSQL databases use that concept of an object very much to enclose their key value pairs, or as I'm going to see down here, to enclose what we call here a document in our document stores. So, to move on to the more complex version from key value pair to document store, you can see in this document store here, again, I have my brackets to denote my different objects within the database. These objects now are often referred to as documents rather than objects. I use document and object interchangeably. So you can see here now, I still have my key value pairs, key value, to take care of my ID number 3 Barack, and to take care of my number 4 customer Marcy, I have a key value pair ID of 4 and a key value pair name of Marcy. Now you can see here with these document stores, we are providing the metadata that we couldn't do for our key value pair. So I am saying I am actually incorporating the field names, if you like. So instead of a key value, I'm referring to this as field value. Field of ID, value of 3. Field of name, value of Barack. Field of ID, value of 4. You get the picture. So with here you see, although we don't have the strict schema that we do in our relational table or spreadsheets, we are providing the metadata, so we are explaining what these values are, and we're explaining what these values are by using the keys. Now, although you can see here, so we are although they're referred to as schemaless, these databases, we are actually, in a sense, creating some sense of schema here. However, there is a big difference. In the relational model, once you create your schema, your columns, it's fixed, really. I mean, you can go back and you can add extra fields, but you would have to bring down your server. It takes more work. I couldn't just put in, for example, number 5, Suzanne, and then add age. I would need to go back, create the age column, and do some structural work on my schema before I could actually populate number 5, Suzanne, age. However, with a document store, this is possible. I could create, so I have 2 documents or objects here. I could create a third one, and I could put ID of 5, name of Suzanne, and then age, and then I could put Suzanne's age. And I can do that on the fly. This is the flexibility of NoSQL databases, is the fact that you have the flexibility to do that. Not only do you have the flexibility to add extra fields, let's say, call them, on the fly, you're also not constrained to data types. So in the relational model, my ID field would most likely be an integer, a numeric data type, and my name field would most likely be a string, a textual field. I couldn't just put a string in the ID field or a numeric data type in the textual field. It's constrained in that way. The schema is fixed and rigid. However, with NoSQL databases, you have that flexibility to put different data types because the schema isn't fixed. Not that you'd want to do that. I mean, there are definitely benefits to following a schema model, and most of the time you would. But that flexibility is there. 2 other things I want to mention. One is there is a concept called JSON. Now, JSON is JavaScript object notation, and it's a way that most applications nowadays talk to each other. So when data is sent over the network, from whether it be from client to server or server to client, JSON is mostly used. It used to be XML. JSON is very much more lightweight. And the other great thing about JSON is JavaScript object notation. It's based around a JavaScript object. And JavaScript object is relatively similar to objects in other object-oriented programs, such as Java, PHP, etc. So programmers understand the concept of an object in object-oriented programming. Now, JSON, the structure of a JSON object, and these 2 objects here could be considered JSON objects. And the only difference between a JSON object and a regular JavaScript object is that the key will always have these speech marks around them. They'll always be converted to string. Now, JSON, or some derivative of, is a way that NoSQL databases will store their data on the back end. So that's JSON. But like I said, JSON is a concept. The way that NoSQL databases store their data, some derivative of JSON format, is familiar to developers from object-oriented programming. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention on this is scalability. Now, scalability is a big reason, as well as flexibility, for choosing a NoSQL database, a relational database. We'll talk about it more in future videos, but there's something called horizontal scaling, where with NoSQL databases, it will allow you to basically add extra servers rather than vertically scaling, they call it, which is increasing the capacity of your one server. If adding extra servers is scaling horizontally. And the use of NoSQL databases make that a lot easier, and we'll learn about that more in future lessons. So I hope to see you there.